Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today what we're going to be working on is trying to mount up this piece here, and we're going to be doing a power steering delete. We're going to install this piece on the engine, going to remove the power steering reservoir in the whole assembly. Then I'm going to move on to trying to see if one of these drive shafts will fit in the car, which I don't think is going to happen. And then what we're going to move on to is removing this rear valance, because I'm going to place an order for the SRT version, which has the circular holes in it and stuff like that. And then what I'll move on to is trying to hook up the shifter assembly here for the you know, the transmission and stuff like that. So there's not a lot to do today, plus it's quite cold here, but yeah, that's what we're gonna get into, and I'm gonna get started now. Alright guys, the power steering delete is on. Like you can see here, just got rid of this whole container, this whole old mechanism here. And everything was smooth. It was just three 13mm heads. You gotta get different hardware, because the other original bolts, which are right here, they're too long. So I went and got different hardware. I just bolted them right in. So everything's on, everything's good. So I want to move on to now is trying to mount up this intercooler device kind of thing here. See how that goes. It goes over here. So I'm going to take the headlight out and we'll see what happens. On the back, I got this cooler mounted here, and it actually bolted up to the bolt, which is right there. It hangs off of that, and then the other windshield, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a bolt behind the washer bottle in there, all the way in the back, and it bolts to that, and that secures it in place. It's really firm. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So what I'm working on now is trying to install this piece over here with the pump on it, but I think I'm missing a bracket. I know that I'm missing 3 rib nuts that go in there, but I think I'm missing a bracket as well. So I'll do some more research, see what I come up with. We have to order a bracket, just keep on ordering parts for this car. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm gonna try and figure something out, but I think I have to order a bracket, but I'll do some research and I'll get back to you guys. All right guys, I'm back, and as I thought, I'm missing a bracket. There's provisions here for 3 rib nuts, which are 8 by 1.25, and I gotta order the rib nuts, and I gotta order the bracket from Dodge, and then bolt the pump up to here. So that's where I'm at with that. I mean, my buddy Keith showed up today as usual.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then what I also did was I removed the V6 EGR, which went onto a line that was on the frame rail existing, that went to this, obviously. But what happened after that was I removed this, what's it called? The fresh air box here. Forgot the name of it. What's that called? Cabin air filter. Right. I moved that out of the way, like that, and then I have this hose here from the HELLCAT, and that actually bolts on to where the EGR was. So that's just a simple plug and play thing with the provisions there already. So
Looks like getting that box out of the way is going to give you enough room for the wiring harness.
yep, get the wiring harness pulled out, you know, sooner than later, hopefully. And
there's something else you were telling me about the wiring harness. You might have to do a little.
yeah, on this specific wiring harness, this is like 20 or 25 inches long, and the engine bay harness I have is going to just exactly plug and play into the interior, but I may have to lengthen it by, like, you know, 10 inches, a little bit of soldering work and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, you know, dash harness should bolt right up, and that's it. But now what we're going to move on to is look at the drive shaft length under the car.
Okay.
And see if we're lucky or not. Just
see what we got going on with that.
see what we got going on. All right, guys. What I have here is a Challenger drive shaft, as I came to find out because I just researched the part number on here. And believe it or not, when you go to put a Challenger drive shaft in a what you could call a Charger body, is that it will not line up. Even these mounting locations here, they're not even going to work. And then show the back end there, Keith.
We can handle that.
Yeah. So
a little bit of space in between.
we're about 4 inches short, which is the difference, I believe. So this Challenger drive shaft doesn't do nothing for me. And clearly the 300 is too long.
I think everybody who watches can probably see that on eBay soon, maybe for sale.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So now what we're gonna do is I gotta mess around with this the shift linkage mechanism here, which bolts up. I got the one bolt in there, but the back one's kind of tight, so I'm gonna have to, you know, try and finagle it and get it down and onto there and see if it
It's
should bolt up. It's gotta go onto there. I mean, that will go onto there, like it'll clip on.
Yeah.
But getting that bolt in that second hole way back under there,
Let me try to.
is going to be an issue. Very little room. So that's what we're going to try and conquer next. And after that, we're going to just move on to this back here and just remove the rear valance in preparation to get the SRT rear valance, which has the 2 exhaust holes on it instead of these ones. So this whole entire piece is just going to come off the car. And I'm going to order the SRT version. So when I put the exhaust in the car, it won't look like a V6.
Well, cool.
So we're gonna get into now is working on that shifter, and we'll get right back to you.
Well, you know me, I say let it stay like a V6. No one will know what you know.
Oh, that's even better. That's a great idea too. But we're gonna get into this now, and we'll get right back to you guys. All right, guys, we're back. We got the shifter squared away. Fits kind of tight. We have to invest in a different shifter cable and bracket out of a HELLCAT because this one's just a little bit too taut. I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot and see if it works. If not, I'm just gonna buy a new one. So, but other than that, we're gonna move on to now is gonna remove this rear valance, get it off the car, and that's it. Just see how that goes. It's gonna be a light workload today, Keith.
I like that.
So.
And we needed a light day.
That's right. So once we get this back in, back off, we'll come right back to you. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. We got the, power steering delete installed. We put the little intercooler device down there, as you could call it. Whatever. I don't know a technical name for it, so don't hold it against me, but I know what it does. And then, I didn't really show it on camera, but the vapor fuel line I hooked up back down to the fire rail, the frame rail down there. It's connected to the factory piece like I stated before. And then I got the shift linkage mostly in place and secured down. And as you just saw, we just took off the rear valance in preparation for a different rear valance. But, it came off pretty good. You gotta get, new marker lights and, just the whole different valance and stuff like that. I was gonna try and mock up the exhaust today, but I didn't get around to it. But, that's basically it. Like next week, we're gonna hopefully have more parts. There were a lot of parts on order as far as like, you know, you see I have the HELLCAT fuel pump. What I'm missing is a secondary pump, which goes in the passenger seat under there, the crossover lines. I'm missing a lot of major fuel components, which is only like 2 or 3 things. So I'm waiting for those to come in so I can put the fuel pump in the car, and then, you know, the crossover and the feed line, and go all the way up to the fuel rail. But
And then what we got to do to get some power to this thing?
oh man, wiring harness is next. That's going to be probably the next week's video, or a couple days from now. Just removing, getting the car on the ground, rolling it outside, and then, you know, taking the interior apart to get to the connectors to take the wiring harness out. Because the wiring harness is just hanging out here, you know. Got the one section that goes over there and the one section that goes over there. We're good to go. Got to extend a couple wires, and
I'm glad that's something that you don't mind doing, because I hate electrical work. There's nothing more than I hate than that.
no, that'll be, you know, something that won't take too long to do. They're missing a couple odds and ends. They got, you know, order some, you know, coolant lines for here and the supercharger, and just miscellaneous stuff now. And now it's like mostly just waiting on parts is what it is to come in. So, but other than that, I mean, you know, hopefully get to a point where we can try and crank it over soon. You know.
So we're like I don't know, about a month and a half in this project. You know,
I'd say about a month and a half.
Working a couple days a week, or one day a week at least, and you know, what the heck is making you want to do this crazy?
Well, you know, if you think about it, you know, the regular car comes with 300 horse, and the car is like what? How much would this car cost new? What, 30 grand?
Yeah, I mean a 6-cylinder, you know, brand new 300, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, if you spend like, you know, a budget for yourself to get an engine, transmission, and all the odds and ends, it definitely makes sense to buy a whole entire parts car if you know, can afford to do that. But even this way, doing it this way, buying parts at a time, is not too bad, you know. So, and when it's done, you know, you're into it for like, you know, you can get a 2015 HELLCAT for probably what, like 40 grand now.
Yeah, in the 40s, I think I've seen them for sure.
38, something like that. So, I mean, if I'm into this thing for like, you know, 23 grand when it's all said and done, it's worth it, you know. And the insurance company don't think you're driving a V6. Yep. So your insurance savings are going to be like, you know, out of control.
Well, we'll have to do a full kind of budget breakdown at some point.
Well, I'm keeping track of what I spend too.
Yeah,
you know? So where I make, you know, I'll do a list of what I spent versus, you know, what we got into it. And,
I mean, the hard part's always explained is the labor part. You know, I mean, there's a lot of trials and tribulations and like, you know, hurdles that come across the way, and
a lot of these parts for these cars, like, you know, like this sensor's like $40, the fuel line, the jumper harness is $40, everything's like $40.
Yeah,
you know, like the AC line I got to order. I'm missing one of those. I missed one AC line. It's $40. Yeah, everything's $40. You know,
and then, you know, just the things along the way that don't quite fit, and you jam, hammer, break.
That's like today with the mounting the pump over here. I got to order, you know, some riv nuts and a bracket. The bracket's $20. So it's like everything just, you know, it's costly, but it, you know, it's like that. It just costs enough just to irritate you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting there. You know, it's coming together. I don't think the strap's off yet because God forbid I got to pull it back out of the car. But
well, yeah, I mean, I think until we get, like we talked about a little bit that today, until we get power and fuel, you know, at least we know that it's going to be in a pretty good spot.
Yep.
You know, if we think we're ready to start it, then we'll take it off.
Right, that's all.
You know,
another thing I got to order $40 is the lower radiator hose. Like, it's just one thing after the other. You know, and the only reason why this radiator hose is bad is because the little nipple that went on there popped off. It snapped off. So I got to order a whole new radiator hose to get one little nipple that goes to the coolant bottle that sits here.
Gotta have it.
Thanks. Coolant bottle, $50.
Gotta have it.
Just adds up, you know. But we're getting there, little by little.
A little bit.
This week's episode, it wasn't, you know, anything groundbreaking or action packed, but you know.
No, I mean the getting the engine in, getting the rear end in is cool and exciting. Now it's, you know, kind of stuff that you just gotta hang on for. Hopefully, we're giving you guys stuff that's fairly interesting to watch, and you know, well, please feel free to say anything in particular you want to see, or if you want us to explain anything a little bit
Thanks
more.
Thanks to Kevon who bought that T-shirt, man. We got a lot of T-shirts left, a lot of T-shirts to go.
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah.
Somebody out in California wearing one of our T-shirts now.
Awesome, cool.
You know. But
I need a new one. I got some holes in mine.
I'll take care of you.
I don't know what happened.
We got a couple.
Okay. Cool.
But that's gonna be it for this week's episode, guys. Be sure to share it with your friends. You know, comment. You know, and catch you guys next week.